evening and welcome to the Providence City Council meeting on this Thursday, January 22nd. Welcome. Thank you for the little intermission here to send our champs from Mount Hope off well. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council President Miller.
Present.
Deputy Majority Whip Anderbois is absent. Councilor Davidson.
Present.
Majority Leader Espinal.
Present.
Senior Deputy Majority Leader Gonzalez.
Present.
Councilwoman Graves.
Present.
Deputy Majority Leader Harris.
Present.
Councilwoman Peterson.
Present.
Council President Pro Tempore Pichardo.
Present.
Councilor Royas.
Present.
Councilwoman Ryan.
Present.
Majority Whip Sanchez.
Present.
Councilman Taylor.
Present.
Councilwoman Ana Vargas.
Present.
Councilman Oscar Vargas is absent. You have 13 present and 2 absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This evening, the invocation will be given by Chairwoman Ryan. Will everyone please rise as you're able? Chairwoman Ryan.
Thank you, Council President. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your many blessings. We ask that you grant us wisdom and compassion to address the challenges which confront our city and our citizens. We ask you to bestow upon us the strength to do what is best for our city through respectful and thoughtful discourse through our committee process. May your light enfold us. May your spirit guide us. I offer this prayer along with the special intentions of my colleagues through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Councilor. And tonight, the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilwoman Davidson.
I, to the flag, United States, to the republic, which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty, justice, for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, item 3.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of item 3 and move approval.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, open the vote.
The vote is now open. Councilwoman Vargas. The vote is now closed. You have 13 ayes, 2 absent. The motion carries. The minutes are approved.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to take item 9 through 17 out of order.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Madam Clerk, item 9, please.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of item 9 and pass on a voice vote.
Second, Madam President.
So a motion and a second. Any discussion on item 9? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, open the vote.
The vote is now open. The vote is now closed. That is 13 ayes, 2 absent. The motion carries. The matter is approved on a voice vote.
Thank you. Item 10.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of item 10 and 11.
Second, Madam President.
A motion and a second. Any discussion on items 10 and 11? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? The motion passes. Madam Clerk, please refer item 10 to the Committee on Finance and item 11 to the Committee on Ordinance.
So noted.
Item 12.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of items 12 and 13 and pass on a voice vote.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on items 12 and 13? All right, hearing none. Madam Clerk, open the vote.
The vote is now open. The vote is now closed. That is 13 ayes, 2 absent. The matters pass on a voice vote.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item 14.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of item 14 and pass on a voice vote.
Second, Madam President.
We have
Madam
a-
President,
Councilman Gonzalez.
I'd like to make a motion to withdraw that motion.
Accepted.
Accept a second.
Would you like to make a different motion, Counselor?
Motion to send item number 14 and refer to the Committee on State Legislative Affairs.
Second, Madam President.
Thank you very much. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, open the vote. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Please send item 14 to the Committee on State Legislative Affairs.
So noted.
Item 15,
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of item 15 and pass on a voice vote.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on item 15? Councilman Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam President. So tonight we gather not just as policymakers, but as people. People who remember where we were on December 13th, 2025, when we felt that pit in our stomach and when the news broke around Brown University. We were checking our phones. We were hoping for good news, praying for the safety of our loved ones. And we're here to recognize the extraordinary professionalism, the courage and service shown by what I think is the greatest police department in the country, the Providence Police Department. During one of the most difficult moments our city has faced, the Providence Police Department and all of us were shaken to our core. But that day, our city and Brown University were helped by enormous courage in that act of violence that took 2 young lives and injured many others. I just want to acknowledge them. Muhammad Aziz Morzakov and Ella Cook was a day that we will never forget, and may their memories live on forever. Our community experienced an unspeakable tragedy that left many families grieving, neighbors fearful, and our entire city searching for answers. But even in that dark night, there are so many people to thank, be it the Reddit John, the unhoused man who helped identify the suspect, the neighbors that stepped up to provide footage, and in a moment of chaos, when fear was everywhere, our officers ran toward the danger. And I want to be very clear about something. That night, our police were not only securing the scene, they were coordinating the investigation, they were managing the crowd, and they were also providing medical care to the people who were injured. They were offering comfort. They were doing everything possible to save lives. And tonight, I want to take a moment to specifically recognize the uniformed division who were first on the scene and immediately took control of an unimaginably complex situation. I also want to thank the investigative division whose tireless work led to identifying the suspect in coordination with the FBI and confirming the person's whereabouts during a painful chapter of our history. And lastly, the administrative division who ensured seamless coordination behind the scenes so everything can run effectively and smoothly. And we also have tonight the Brown University Department of Public Safety, John Rankin, who's here tonight on behalf of their investigative division, whose partnership with our police department allowed us to have closure. And I just want to acknowledge the leadership here that's here with us tonight. Folks like Captain Dennis O'Brien, Lieutenant Potter, Detective Sergeant Primiano. I see Deputy Chief O'Hara, all of the members of our police department. If you can join us behind the chamber, we would greatly appreciate taking a moment to acknowledge your calm under pressure, your decisive leadership, your commitment to the officers and to our city in making a difference. You set the tone, you set the standard, and you showed what real public service looks like. So Providence, Everyone who's here tonight, please join me in a standing ovation. To the Providence Police Department, if you can just stay for a moment, we're going to ask the clerk to read the resolution that was submitted tonight on the docket. And again, we just want to thank you for your courage, for wearing the badge with honor, and we're so grateful to each and every one of you. Madam Clerk.
Whereas the city of Providence and Brown University experienced a horrific act of violence on December 13, 2025, which killed 2 students, injured 9 more, and became a matter of deep sadness and concern for our city. And whereas Muhammad Aziz Mirzakov and Ella Cook, 2 bright first years, never made it home for winter break, may their memories be a blessing. And whereas members of the Brown community were left to pick up the pieces, frantically contacting loved ones to ensure their safety, and reeling from the shock and heartbreak of losing friends and classmates whose time at Brown had only just begun. And whereas residents of the East Side sheltered in place for hours, many of them in the dark, under tables, and in back rooms and basements, and fearful that the shooter could be lurking just outside. And whereas, as that Sunday's violence gave way to Monday's strained routine, employees returned to work, students returned to school, and our community members sought to feel safe in their homes and neighborhoods, despite widespread fear of the shooter still on the loose. And whereas, throughout that week, the Providence Police Department and Brown University Department of Public Safety met the moment by establishing a visible presence at schools, civic buildings, and near Brown's campus, delivering timely and accurate information to the public and working overtime to pursue the suspect. And whereas, officers' diligent work led to the identification of a suspect, confirmation of his whereabouts, and ultimately the end of a painful saga that gripped our city. And whereas the city additionally recognizes the outpouring of support for our community with too many good Samaritans to name, including the Brown University staff members who took students into their homes that first night, volunteers with the Brown University Undergraduate Council of Students who established a mutual aid network to help students travel home, and RIPTA bus drivers who worked into the late night as they transported students to their dorms from wherever they were sheltering in place. Now therefore be it resolved that the Providence City Council expresses its deep gratitude to the Providence Police Department, the Brown University Department of Public Safety, and the many members of our community who helped bring feelings of safety and care to our city in the wake of one of its darkest days. And be it further resolved that upon passage, copies of this resolution shall be transmitted to Providence Chief of Police Oscar L. Perez Jr., the Office of Mayor Brett P. Smiley, the Brown University Department of Public Safety, and Brown University President Christina H. Paxson.
Thank you. And Madam President, I just want to take a moment to also recognize Major David LePayton. Thank you, sir. One more big round of applause for the Providence Police Department. And Madam President, we're going to stand at ease and we're going to take a picture with the body, the council.
Yeah.
Madam
we'll just
President?
stand at ease briefly. Yes,
I'd
Council.
like to speak as well.
Go ahead, Councilman Taylor.
You done? So I just want to quickly say, from a former Providence firefighter who did 28 years on the job, I worked with many of you guys, and I've always supported you. I continue to support you guys. And they say that the fire department is a tough job where we're running into fires and everybody's running out. But in the last 10 years or so, your job has been harder than anybody can ever imagine. and I'm going to speak the truth here, and some people might not get mad, but I supported you guys back in 2020 when there was a vote in this about defunding the police, and it's a shame that some people are flip-flopping, if you want to call it, but you have been with me for protecting the city. I support you 100%. I'll continue to support you. I will never vote to defund the police, and I couldn't believe in 2020 that some of people are still here that have voted to defund the police. I will never vote for that, even though I'm only one vote. So I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I really thank you as a former firefighter, as a citizen, as a councilman, that you guys go over and beyond more than what you do and put your lives, especially nowadays. It's crazy world out there. And I don't know why some of you are still here, just retire. No, I'm kidding. No, but I'm just saying, no, seriously, that you guys do a great job. And I just wanted to put that out there that I will always support the Providence Police Department. I will never vote. I didn't then and I won't then now vote to defund the police. So thank you very much.
Counselor. Any further discussion on item 15? Hearing none, let's vote on this item and then stand at ease and thank you guys in person and let you get back to work in some cases. So hearing none, Madam Clerk, please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is now closed. That is 13 ayes, 2 absent. The matter passes on a voice vote.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And I will just say for my part, I am incredibly grateful for the work you do every day, but also what was accomplished during that truly awful week. So thank you very much, and we'll stand at ease and congratulate you in person.
This is the red stabilization form. Just gonna write down. Like send it to me. I got the confirmation on mine.
I did get one yesterday.
You did get one.
Did you get one yesterday?
Okay, then I don't get it to you. It's just the, so perfect. Didn't you like that?
Yeah.
Yes. I also put your email on here, but I didn't put that sign. So oh my God, my name.
Thank you very much, counselors. All right. Madam Clerk, item 16,
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of item 16 and pass on a voice vote.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on item 16?
Thank you, Council President. Happy to stand and speak on this. This is a matter near and dear to my heart. I spoke with the Council President some weeks ago and asked to establish a special commission on the history of the Providence City Council. Many of you know, Councilwoman Harris and I are the senior counselors in this body, and we stand on giants. This council is a body basically addresses from generations the challenges of the time, the issues of the day, the matters that impact the city of Providence. And we do it to the best of our ability at that particular point in time with all the tools and talent we have at hand. So it's important to me and my other colleagues I've spoken with to preserve, protect, and promote the history of the council. So that history is never lost. I fear that when we had the term limits established, can't think of the year that was, but I should know that, and we all should know that. We lost a lot of institutional knowledge. So before Councilwoman Harris and I leave, we want to make sure that we document the years of history and put it in a format and substance that's easily digestible and can be referred to for years to come. And it basically is an opportunity for us to show the hard work that we've done and the giants that shoulders we've stood on. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any further discussion on item 16? Councilwoman Harris.
I am standing because this is going to be an honor to do this. One of the things that I really love is Providence history and the greatness of what happens in Providence. When Councilwoman Ryan asked me to be a part of this, I was like, oh, yes, let's do it. Simply because a lot of times I came in from outside as an organizer and I had no idea what politicians do or what people have done in the past or what decisions we have to make and how we have to make them at times. So this is going to be an honor. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to looking back at the things like Councilwoman Ryan said, the trailblazers that we're riding on the shoulders of. I'm privileged to do this job. I was a mother, single mom, raising her children, and now I help make decisions. So I think it's really important that we continue to tell this history. And Councilwoman Ryan, this is wonderful, and I thank you for it. And I thank all my colleagues for all that you do, and I'm excited to be a part of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion on item 16? Councilwoman Davidson.
So, Madam President, I just want to briefly, as the newest member of this body, I want to state my support for this work, and I pledge to help keep it going. I think it's wonderful. I think that our city's history is incredibly important, and I would love to be a part of making sure that the history of this body and all aspects of our city are preserved and celebrated. So thank you for kicking this off, Councilwoman Ryan, and I'm eager to participate in whatever way I can.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please open the vote.
And the vote is open. And the vote is now closed. We have 13 ayes, 2 absent. The motion carries. The matter is passed on a voice vote.
Thank you. Item 17.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of item 17.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Madam Clerk, please refer item 17 to the Committee on Finance.
So noted.
And now we are back to item 4.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of item 4 through 6.
Second, Madam President.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Madam Clerk, please note item 4 is received and refer item 5 and 6 to the Committee on Finance.
So noted.
Item 7.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of item 7 and pass for the second time in a roll call vote.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on item 7? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, open the vote and call the roll.
The vote is open. Council President Miller.
Aye.
Deputy Majority Whip Anderbaugh is absent. Councilor Davidson.
Aye.
Majority Leader Espinal.
Aye.
Senior Deputy Majority Leader Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilwoman Graves. Deputy Majority Leader Harris.
Aye.
Councilwoman Peterson. Aye. Council President Pro Tempore Pichardo.
Aye.
Councilor Royas.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ryan.
Aye.
Majority Whip Sanchez.
Aye.
Councilman Taylor. Councilwoman Ana Vargas.
Aye.
Councilman Oscar Vargas is absent. You have 13 ayes, 2 absent. The motion carries. The matter's passed for the second time on a roll call vote. Councilwoman Graves, can you input your vote, please? Thank you. And that is closed.
All right, thank you. Item 8, please.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
before I make the motion to waive the reading of item 8, I just want to rise as a point of clarification. This item 8, it's pertaining to rent stabilization. It has drawn a large crowd tonight, but I just want to clarify that no action will be taken on this item. There will not be a vote, but this actually will be referred to committee. During the committee hearing, there will be public hearing. There will be plenty of opportunity for anyone and everyone out there to have an opportunity to be heard. You can write to the council, you can come and testify. So this will get vetted. Just don't think that this will be voted on tonight. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Majority Leader.
With that said, motion to waive the reading of item 8.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion?
Madam President,
Councilman Taylor.
I have a question on why this is being referred to the Special Committee on Hope. I personally think, since we haven't seen the fiscal price on this budget, but I think personally it should be going to the Finance Committee, if not, at least the Ordinance Committee, which is a standing 2 committees. The Hope Committee was just made up this year. It's not really, it's a committee, but it's not like as important as, it's important, but not as important on this issue as the Finance Committee. So because we've never seen a fiscal budget on this, I believe it should be vetted through the Finance Committee, if not, at least an Ordinance Committee. So I want to put that on the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion on item 8. Pro Tem Pichardo.
Madam President. Good evening, Madam President. I rise as a co-sponsor of this ordinance, the Providence Rent Stabilization Act, because we all know that Providence families cannot wait for someday. They need stability this year and beyond. We are building for the future, but we must protect the present. This ordinance isn't just a policy, it's a shield. It brings predictability and fairness to a market that has been chaotic for far too long. Let's be clear about who this helps and who it protects. It protects our neighborhoods. It protects our neighbors. It protects the growth of our city. This ordinance does not touch our local landlords, the neighbors living in their own 2 duplex or triple deckers and who keep our community running. It protects the growth of our city because new development remains exempt for 15 years to ensure that we keep building. This is clear. It targets what the problem is. We are drawing a line against out-of-state speculators, landlords who treat our homes like line items, an ROI, a return on investment spreadsheet. We are putting an end to predatory rent hikes and creating an enforceable guardrails that value people over profit. We all know Providence is in a rent crisis. We all know that our families in our neighborhoods are going through crisis, and people can't wait years for long-term solutions alone. Building housing we need will take time, and we are doing that, but families need stability. We all deserve stability with clear rules and a balanced board. This ordinance addresses that. Rent stabilization ensures fairness and predictability with the level of certainty provided by rent stabilization. Renters can better anticipate their housing costs from year to year. This ordinance is thoughtful. It does not impact small local landlords who own up to 2 duplexes or triple deckers and live in one of the units and rent out the others. It also does not impact, again, new development for 15 years from the initial occupancy. With the ordinance, it will impact the out-of-state landlords who buy up real estate and turn them into investment properties, who don't actually invest in Rhode Islanders, in Providence, and in our communities. They squeeze renters. I believe with rent stabilization, just like more than half of you here, colleagues, and those who also are out there, and I hope more in the coming weeks. And I believe that this practice will bring fairness in the rental market in Providence. I look forward to continue co-sponsoring this bill with you, and I applaud you for putting it in and championing it. I look forward to hearing from our constituents on both ends. This bill is not perfect, but we need to hear from you also. I look forward to hearing from property owners, from investors who love our Providence and want to continue to see it grow, its diversity, its economic well-being, and where we all can thrive together, but in a fair and just way. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Pro Tem. Further discussion on item 8. Councilman Reyes.
Madam President, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I want to begin by naming the moment we are in because I think it's historic. For the first time, rent stabilization is appearing on this docket. That did not happen by accident. It happened because the reality on the ground has finally become too loud to ignore. Almost 10 years ago, I was organizing with DARE and the Tenant and Homeowner Association. I remember knocking on doors across Providence, clipboard in hand, collecting the signatures required by the city charter just to force this conversation, to put rent stabilization directly on the province ballot. But back then, this council body treated us like radicals for even suggesting intervention. But Madam President, what's radical isn't the idea, it's what happened while we were ignored. While this body debated theory, renters were priced out. While we were told to wait for the market, Providence became the least affordable metro area for renters in the country. That didn't happen overnight. It happened because silence and delay were allowed to govern. And that inaction has names and faces. It was during that organizing work, knocking on those same doors, that I met the Trottier family, whom I'll never forget. Madonna and Butch Trottier were both in their 70s. And Madam President, you would be proud that they were Fed Hill lifers. They had lived in Federal Hill for decades, nearly their entire married life. They were seniors living on fixed incomes, paying $800 a month for a modest first floor apartment. Their adult son, Stephen, who was disabled, lived upstairs. They depended on one another for care. Madonna made sure that Stephen took his medication. Stephen helped his parents manage daily life. As Madonna told one reporter plainly, I couldn't make it without him. Many of you may recognize their names because a Providence Journal told their story in 2018. And I'm speaking their names today because this crisis is not hypothetical. It already has victims. Because the market did what it always does, an investor bought that building that the Trottier family was living in. That investor operated under the name Providence Stewart Living, now known as Providence Living, a company owned by Dustin DeZube, a millionaire landlord with frequent complaints against his business practices. After that purchase, the Trottiers faced rent pressure and eviction, not because they had done anything wrong, but because their home could be renovated, rebranded, and rented for double or triple the price. The apartment the Trottiers lived in had broken heat, drafty windows tied shut with string and garbage bags, mice coming through the holes in the baseboards, yet it was still their home. And even with all of that, Madam President, rent still came first. Rent always gets to eat first. I remember standing outside that building with DARE members protesting, trying to stop the displacement, trying to buy the Trottier family more time. The Trottiers were selling their furniture to raise money, collecting bottles for spare change, facing the real possibility that family who relied on one another for survival would be separated, not by choice, but by rent. In that moment that has never left me, Madonna said, "I don't know what the hell to do. I guess I'm going to live in my car until I can find a place." Providence Living ultimately evicted the Trottiers in 2018, reporting at the time in the later work by Uprise Rhode Island, which documented the conditions of their apartment before eviction, made clear that this was not just a housing dispute, it was a cascade of harm. After their eviction, the Trottiers faced homelessness, hospitalization, and eventually Madonna and Butch both passed away. I want to be very clear about why I'm saying this today. They did not die because they were irresponsible. They did not die because they failed to plan. They died because they were displaced, because losing their home triggered the crisis that killed them. This is the human cost of inaction. It is not confined to one family. It is happening across this city right now. During the 2023-2024 school year, Providence Public Schools identified over 400 students experiencing homelessness out of a total enrollment of nearly 20,000 students. That is 1 in every 49 children. Providence alone accounts for over 20% of all homeless students in Rhode Island, and our rate is 50% higher than the statewide average. Those numbers, Madam President, represent children living in cars, doubled up with relatives, bouncing from couch to couch because rents keep rising faster than their parents' wages. They represent families like the Trottiers, except now there are hundreds more. As a licensed clinical social worker, I want to be honest about what this does to people. Housing insecurity is trauma. When someone doesn't know if they'll be able to stay in their home, their nervous system is constantly activated. Anxiety becomes chronic, depression deepens, PTSD symptoms worsen, recovery from substance abuse becomes harder. Parents live in a state of fear, and children absorb that fear into their developing brains. Every week, I sit with families facing impossible choices because just like with the Trottiers, rent always gets to eat first, before food, before medicine, before childcare, before people. Stable housing is not a luxury, it is a mental health intervention. Now, I want to speak directly to those who oppose rent stabilization and insist that the only solution is to increase supply. Providence has limited land left to build on, and we've been one of the few cities in the state actively pushing development while many others lag behind. But Providence cannot be the only engine pulling a train the rest of the state refuses to board. Unless other cities build housing and reform zoning, prices will not come down in a meaningful way. Rhode Island is simply too small for Providence to solve the housing crisis alone. So what do we do in the meantime? Do we wait while families are displaced in real time? While seniors like Madonna and Butch are pushed into crisis? While children lose stability, schools, and support systems? If rents keep rising during that wait, what is the plan to protect people right now? That is the question we all need to grapple with honestly, because for families living on the edge, just wait is not a policy, it's just a sentence. Rent stabilization is not a silver bullet, but it is urgent. It's a necessary tool to stop the bleeding. It slows displacement, it provides predictability, it buys time for children to stay in the same school, time for families to stabilize, time for broader housing solutions to be pursued without sacrificing the people who make this city home. 10 years ago, we fought just to be heard. Today, the issue is finally on the docket because the cost.
Thank y'all. We're gonna keep our meeting going though. Counselor, go ahead.
Today, this issue is finally on the docket because the cost of inaction has become impossible to ignore. The question, colleagues, before us is not whether rent stabilization is perfect. The question is not whether this is hard. The question is whether you will act or whether you will let this crisis deepen on our watch. Providence cannot wait another decade. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Counselor. Further discussion on item 8. Councilwoman Davidson? Councilwoman Davidson? Councilwoman Davidson?
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to speak in support of this ordinance, which I'm proud to co-sponsor.
Can we please,
Councilwoman Davidson.
we need to conduct business, please.
So, and I'll share that it wasn't at all the only concern for voters who I spoke. While it wasn't at all the only concern for voters, housing access and affordability were major issues in the recent contest for this city council seat. During my campaign, at neighbors' doors, in the supermarket, through my campaign literature, and in public forums, I shared support for rent stabilization with thousands of people as a component of housing access and affordability. In these conversations, I learned so much from people's stories and perspectives. Was there universal support? Absolutely not. But I am here today because many neighbors felt that rent stabilization was a fair way to protect renters from severe financial duress, eviction, homelessness, and more, and I agree with them. Among the folks I talked with were medical interns and residents. For these neighbors doing essential jobs, many of them newcomers to Providence, rent was a huge burden, sometimes eating up more than 50% of their incomes. Many were upset and anxious about potential and possibly unaffordable rent increases. This level of expense and instability, combined with other factors, is driving many of them to plan their next career steps outside of Rhode Island. Why are we facing a primary care provider crisis? Unaffordable housing is a significant factor. I also talked with many people who felt strongly that we need to act now to stabilize skyrocketing housing costs to benefit so many in our city who are being pushed out of this market. And I heard the words compassion and fairness quite often. I heard loud and clear that we don't want Providence to be at the mercy of market forces. I heard that we have to act to make sure this is a city for everyone, and I agree. I'm gratified that we're putting these plans into place to expand housing to help Providence grow in ways that will be affordable for all. As part of that commitment, we need to stabilize rent now. This ordinance does so in ways that ensure landlords receive a fair rate of return with minimal bureaucracy, and that renters can plan for a stable future. Thank you.
Further discussion, councilors? Councilwoman Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam President. And big thank you to everyone that came here. Like some of our colleagues have said, this fight is one that has been happening for a very long time. And the fact that it's even being discussed here in a public setting is a huge just win for our local government here in Providence. But something that we're going to keep hearing and feeling the next couple of weeks, months while this goes through its process is pressure. There's a reason that it took so long for this to get brought up through a public process. Obviously, one, representation. I don't think a legislative body here in Providence has had as many renters as it does now. So that in itself is a huge victory for representation here in the city of Providence. But two, and obviously the most visible one, is big lobbyists and corporate interests and hobby and real estate lobbyist money. While there's some folks here, that might actually own a property or two, a lot of people that are in opposition have made a living, have made hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, off of the backs of working class, low income Providence residents for decades with no regulations. And that's something that we need to be clear about is we're not cutting off all business. We're just adding an extra layer of security for the people that need it the most. As has been mentioned, there's a lot of bad actors. And one of my first experiences with one of these bad actors as a city councilor here in Providence was, I try to do my due diligence. I try to hear all sides of issues. So one of these local developers brought me to his office here downtown a couple months in as a city councilor. I go, Miguel, a 23-year-old, a little naive, let's hear the other side. Let's hear concerns. But the first experience, the first thing that I saw when I walked in there was their property manager had a name tag on their desk with eviction queen. And that was in a time where I was working as a case manager for our unhoused population here in Providence. And that's something that just completely, opened up the reality of the situation, the reality of capitalism, the reality of unregulated markets, the reality of greed. At the end of the day, it's greed. There is a lot of good partners that own property, and I think all of us here will admit that. That's why we took so much into consideration when drafting this ordinance by adding certain exemptions. And something we want to be clear on, this is where we're at now. We want to engage with anyone that is willing to provide opinions in good faith. This is something the council president has said for a while. This is something that has to happen, something that needed to happen, something that we should all be supporting. And I just want to close my remarks by saying there's a lot of, opposition and concerns, but just dig deeper. I'll give a shout out to our media this week and some of our mainstream media, which I don't normally do. A lot of them, stated who funds some of these foundations, who funds some of these commissions, who are the supporters. Because if you take the page one page deeper, you realize it's the same businesses that make profits by keeping unregulated rents, by keeping no caps. So that's all I want to say right now, Council President. I just want to thank you all, my colleagues, for serving the city of Providence. Most importantly, everyone here that came to voice their position, to keep inviting folks throughout this process. But this has been a long time coming, and we need to end the suffrage now and continue to do the other things that we're doing in terms of housing production. Thank you, Madam President.
All right. Any further discussion on item 8? Further discussion on item 8? Councilwoman Graves. Councilwoman Graves.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Councilwoman Graves.
I would like
have
to
the
say,
floor. Yes.
I would like to say that this is something that is a long time coming. Providence used to be a city where everybody had a chance to thrive. It used to be a city where you could afford to go and find some type of housing. Now all we got to do is walk down any street and we can see that it's no longer that. People are fearful of losing their apartments. They are fearful of losing their homes. They cannot afford anything anymore. I was proud to say, less than 12 years ago, 10 years ago, that I knew about 89% of the people in my community. And we're a working class community. Yeah, we have some rich pockets and we have some very poor pockets, but on the whole, we're a working class community. We can't afford those rents that are out there now. I watched so many families that have been in the community for decades leave because they could no longer afford to stay in their homes. I'm not blaming anybody for trying to make a living. However, when it comes to a vote on someone having the right to have a place to lay their head, to be able to have some peace of mind, not to be worried constantly about where am I going to find this money to pay my rent? Am I going to be homeless? These things, if you can't feel it, you don't have a heart. You need to look around and see the pain. You need to look around and say, I don't want you to lose your business, but I think you need to look at what you're doing. You can rent houses without this exorbitant rent. You can. And the reason why we can't anymore is because everybody's trying to get more and more and more and more and more. And I'm watching these houses come up. I hate to tell you this. These houses come up, they come up so quickly, they are not worth going up.
Councilwoman,
They
continue.
they are not worth even putting up. So I'm not going to say that you're wrong. I'm not going to say you're right. I am saying that everybody deserves a chance to live in the city of Providence, and everybody deserves to be heard. We will have more hearings, but I am voting for this. I am voting for this because I do not want to lose another neighbor. I don't want to lose. I do not want to see another child. Look at me. They're coming into the library talking about, oh, well, we used to live there, but we can't live there anymore. We're living with our aunts, so, well, we don't know where we're going to live. That's a hurtful feeling. It hurts my heart to hear those stories. And you should have that same type of empathy. Not sympathy, just some compassion. And that's all we ask of you. And that's all we ask of you. Have a little bit more compassion. These laws, we have tried to cover everything. We're not going to be able to cover everything. We're not going to make everybody happy. But all I can say is, we are living in troubled waters. And as the song goes, God's going to trouble the waters because he's going to make us open our eyes and see. He's going to make us see the other side. And you need to look over that river and see the other side. And that's all I ask you to do. I respect you all, respect the rest of us. We're going to do our job to the best of our abilities. You may not like this, but this is happening.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman. Further discussion on item 8? No further discussion on item 8. I will remind mostly for the public that this is a motion to waive the reading and refer the item to committee. Councilman, Majority Leader, please.
Thank you, Madam President. I so deeply appreciate the energy, the effort, all the people that have shown up because this is important. This is critical. And it's at a very critical time because we do have a housing crisis. But let me just quickly highlight that this council understood this number of years ago, and we've been doing great work. I mean, just last year, we passed the comprehensive plan, which loosens zoning ordinance laws so that we can actually build more with less. This council was the one under Councilman Sanchez that we banned storage facility. We banned gas station. So we've taken all kinds of measures to make sure that in the next 10 years, we have a clear roadmap of increasing housing. I sit on the PRA, Providence Redevelopment Agency, and I was witness to the close to $55 million that we invested in the last 3 years. And it's over 1,600 units that we either remodel or we built. So we understood early that there was a housing crisis. And we've been doing something about it. We've been working. We do TSA. We work with developers. So the crisis has been here, but the council has been working. I respectfully, though, disagree with the way we're trying to continue and the way this ordinance is guiding us. And I have points to make. I'm not going to go into deep detail tonight because that is what the committee work is for. But I will have the opportunity to do my illustration as we take a deep dive into this ordinance. Because again, we want to do what is best for the city of Providence. Not what might be popular at a time, but what is responsible. What is responsible and what is expected from each and every one of us. Because when I go back to my community, I have to respond to them and I have to explain my vote. And it has to be one that makes sense. Not one that is emotional, but one that is objective and that is delivered. The steps that we have taken in this year's has been towards incentivizing housing production. The step that is being introduced tonight, it disincentivizes that because it punishes people for creating houses. It has why would an investor come to Providence with this ordinance if they can go to Cranston, they can go to Pawtucket, they can go to Central Falls, they could go anywhere. They could go anywhere where there is no roadblock. They could go anywhere where there is no red tape. They'll go anywhere where they'll roll out the red carpet as they welcome their investment and they value their dollars. Now, one other point here that I want to clarify, Madam President, because I don't want people to be confused. If you're paying $2,000 for a two-bedroom, you're paying too much. That is not fair. We want to reduce that. But I don't think that we can reduce that by simply freezing that number. We need to lower that number. You're not going to lower the number by guaranteeing that your rent is going to go up 4% every single year. What this is telling me is that every single year, my rent is going to go up 4%. That is compound. So if you're paying $2,000, you're going to pay $80 next year. And the following year, you're going to pay 4% on $2,080. So it compounds, it grows. It doesn't offer relief for the people that are cost burden. We need to bring those prices down. And the only way to bring it down is to build more housing. When did it stop? The last thing that we want to do, Madam President, with all due respect, is micromanage our taxpayers' private business. We cannot do that. We can't. So based on those points and other things that I see, and I said that I'll be brief, so I'll be stopping. There'll be an opportunity for all of us to express different ways that we can achieve our goals, but we do it in a way that is respectful, that is objective, that is responsible to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Counselor. All right, any further discussion? Councilman Taylor.
Okay, before I start, I don't want any applause. I don't want any boos. I'm not here. It's not I feel like I'm at the Academy Awards, like who's getting the best thing here. First of all, as you know, I opposed it going to the Hope Committee. I think it should go to the Finance Committee or the Ordinance Committee and be heard correctly. Second is research. We have to do correct research. History has shown that rent stabilization has not worked in places like please, no, stop.
Councilman,
Stop.
you've got the floor. Keep going.
Stop.
Yep.
I'm not here for that. Please do not clap, boo, nothing. Talk to me afterwards if you want. But what I'm saying is that history has showed itself in St. Paul, Minnesota. It's shown itself in Montgomery, Maryland. Matter of fact, even in Massachusetts, Governor Maura Healey says she doesn't want rent stabilization because it's going to stop building. So do some history, please. Do some research, correct research. Don't come out as a council and say, oh, the highest in the country. Just today I looked up, 3-bedroom apartment in New Haven, Connecticut, rent $2,700. Providence, Rhode Island, 3-bedroom apartment, $2,900. Boston, Mass, 3-bedroom apartment, $3,800. Cambridge, Mass, 3-bedroom apartment, $5,300. We're not the highest in the country. I didn't even go out west to California in that. So please, I say this all the time. We're 15 council people. That's all we are. We could be here today. We could be gone tomorrow. These decisions that we make will affect the city from days go on, kind of like the pension system being $1 billion in the hole because we offered 6% compounded. Not me, but the council who sat here. So that's the problems that we're in. We need to fix the pension system. We need to fix Rhode Island Energy. I'm paying $600 a month for friggin' gas and electric. And we're worried about the little rent. When I came on the fire department in the 80s, some people are too young, they don't remember that. But what I'm saying is, in the 70s, they tried the rent control, the rent stabilization. In the 80s, what happened was there were so many vacant houses. You could buy a house on Adelaide Avenue, one of those beautiful houses, for $30,000, $40,000. You know why? Because the developers left, the place is boarded up. I have landlords in my ward that have called me and said, because I've always asked people, when the press calls, they say, are you an owner? No, are you a renter or a landlord? I'm neither, I'm an owner. But the bank owns it with me. So I still got to pay my payments. But what I'm trying to say is landlords have called me and said, listen, I have a 3-decker house. These people that live there, they've been there for 10, 15 years. They're like family to me. You're forcing me, like Councilman Espinal said, you're forcing me to go up 4% every year. I haven't raised rent. Listen, there is bad people. There is bad people out there, as is there bad renters. The renters trash the house. They have to do all the work. I have plenty in my ward that the people move out and trash the house. Now, who's going to fix it? The landlord has to fix it for the next person. So where are they going to get the money? 4%. I think and another thing I cannot stand is by reading at the end where it says this, correct me, it's either 4 or 5 board members, and whoever the president is gets to pick the executive director. It leaves out, is it a paid executive director? How much is it? Is it a paid board? Why are we bringing politics into it? Politics are worse enough in this state. Why are we bringing politics into it? So we got to, let me not go there, but we should not be bringing politics into someone's hood, because Councilman Espinal's right. They're gonna pack up. They're gonna go to Cranston. They're gonna go somewhere else. And I'll guarantee you, if we pass this, hopefully, God willing, if I'm alive for another 10 years, I'll be out there. I won't be a councilman, but I'll be pointing out all the vacant houses that we're gonna have. It happened before. History repeats itself. 1970s. Go back and look at it. I'm not making this up. You got Google. Back in the day, I had to go to a World Book and look stuff up. You've got Google. Go to stuff, look it up. Look at the history. It's not working. Thank you, Madam President.
Councilwoman Harris.
I am standing because I I realize that we have a decision to make, and that decision don't have to be made tonight. It's impossible for me to take a vote. It's impossible for me to make a decision without all the information. I don't know a lot about the economic crisis that's happening. I do know that people are being priced out of their homes. I do know that there is a lot of burdens on families. I do know that. But I'm looking forward, just like I've looked forward to all the conversations that have been had in this building. Councilwoman Ryan, remember one time we sit almost 10, 12 hours in another big conversation that really impacted our communities and our neighbors, and they came out and they talked to us, and they definitely let us know what we were missing. Now, we got to do something. This is not perfect, but I'm looking forward to the day and the time when we come together as a community, as neighbors, and think about people who have even less than what you have. I'm looking forward to the day that we come together and we have a concrete conversation. We ask the right questions, we give the right information, and that would help me as a decision maker, as a politician, as a person, a leader of my community and my neighborhood, who I feel like is getting the brunt of everything altogether. So I'm going to be listening to everything. I'm going to be documenting everything. So to me, I want to go back to what Majority Leader said at first. Let's bring this conversation to the committees. Let's bring it to public hearing, and let's talk about it. Because we can go back and forth all day long with each other, and that's what happens. We can do that. We can debate. Tomorrow I'm going to vote on your stuff that you may have that's very important to me. But tonight, this is a big deal for all of us. This is not a big deal only for the council. But you look around, you look up over here, we're in the audience, in this room. It's a big deal for Providence. So let's do this right. Let's have a conversation. Let's take it to our communities. Because a lot of people here in my neighborhood is not here today. They're not here maybe because they don't have a car, and maybe they're working at McDonald's. I don't know. I don't know the situation, but I'm wanting to hear it. I want to hear it in my community. I want to hear this being vetted to the best of that I am comfortable, that I can sleep and I can pray because it's been done right. So let's do it. Take it to committee. Tonight we can sit here, I'll go back and forth all night long. I haven't heard from the people. So thank you for allowing me to speak, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I'm going to take a quick. That's all right. All right. Any further discussion on item 8? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay, only because it's going to the wrong committee.
Any abstentions? All right. The motion passes. Madam Clerk, please refer item 8 to the Committee on Hope.
So noted.
And now we are going to go to item 18.
Madam President,
Yes. Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of item 18 and pass on a voice vote.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on item 18? I'm sorry. May I just take a pause and thank everyone literally who came tonight? There'll be many more opportunities.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate seeing the people of Providence here. All right. Any further discussion on item 18? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is now closed. You have 13 ayes, 2 absent. The motion passes on a voice vote.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item 19.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of item 18 through 34.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on items 19 through 34? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes.
Madam President.
Yes,
Sorry.
let me just
Sorry.
send these
Yeah.
where they're going. Madam Clerk, please send items 19 to notice received, 20 to the Committee on Claims and Pending Suits, and 21 through 34 note as received.
So noted.
Councilwoman Peterson.
Thank you. I'd just like to do a point of personal expression right before we end this meeting tonight. At the beginning of this month, a very dear neighbor to me passed away at the age of 88. And his daughter and wife, who have traveled down to Florida for now to start their healing process, had requested that I just speak very quickly about him. My kid, his name is Guido Nofi, and he was my neighbor for the last 20 years, right across the street from me on Erie. And Guido, if I could tell you all the wonderful things about Guido, I would be here for hours. The Nofi family was really important to us, as when we first brought home our daughter, they were the first to congratulate us and give us all the pointers as brand new parents. And I would be remiss if I didn't just talk very briefly about his wonderful history with the city of Providence and also the state of Rhode Island. Guido actually worked as a carpenter for Amtrak for many, many years. I want to say it was about 3 different decades. He loved carpentry, and he would create these beautiful pieces. His home is full of all of this wonderful carpentry, and I really do hope that it's maintained and taken care of forever. If there was anything, I thank them every time, because they would give my children Halloween treats, Easter stuff. They're just, well, Mr. Guido and Miss Helen were wonderful people. But what I wanted to do was talk very quickly about his love and his passion for his family. And I promised that I would talk very quickly about something that was never actually mentioned, and his love for dance, and specifically the cha-cha. And his daughter asked to very specifically say how much he enjoyed that. And he would actually do that sometimes. We would watch as he was cleaning his leaves in the fall, and he would, just enjoy doing the responsibilities of being a homeowner. So I just wanted to take that quick minute to acknowledge how wonderful the Nofi family was to us, and how wonderful wonderful residents they were in Ward 14. And my thoughts and condolences go to the family here and in Florida. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. And I'd like to make a very quick one and welcome a new addition to Chairwoman Ryan's family. Welcome, Owen. New onesie incoming. Councilman Reyes.
Thank you, Madam President. Before we close out, I just want to send my condolences, thoughts and prayers and positive energy to the Pescinelli family. My former principal at Hope High School, Arthur Pescinelli, who I'm sure you all know, recently lost his mother, Angelina Pescinelli, and I didn't have the privilege to meet her, but I just want to use this last few seconds to just let them know that I am thinking about them, and that she obviously did an amazing job as a mother, because Dr. P, as we called him at Hope High School, instilled so much values in his students and had a significant impact on me. And so I want to conclude on that and just send my condolences to the Pescinelli family. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilwoman Harris.
I just want to rise because We have been celebrating Dr. King's legacy throughout the week with different things that have been happening. And one of the things that I feel very proud about by studying his work and what he believed in was that it's to do the right thing. You have to do the right thing. I'm not going to start quoting it because I don't have it written down and it won't be right. But however, I want to acknowledge the executive order that was put in by our mayor. It's not an easy thing to do when we have so many people going in different directions, but everybody under the sun belongs to God. And not only that, we in Providence we're so close, we're so small. I call everybody my brothers, and I call everybody my sisters. I don't care what your race is, I just call you brothers and sisters. We should be looking out for each other. So I'm proud of the fact that we did take an initiative. As you guys know, what's happening in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And it's horrible to look at that and horrible to look at what people of all communities, Black, white, Latino, are experiencing. Because violence, all type of violence, does cause terror, cause harm, and sometimes it can cause mental illness. And so we see a lot of that in communities that have been terrorized over the years by police abuse. And you see that naturally walking around. So I want to thank you for listening to me, but most of all, I want to thank the mayor for taking that stand.
Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Pro Tem Pichardo.
On that note, I also rise to mention a couple of things. One is that, we come into January, New Year, and right into Martin Luther King Jr. celebration and honoring. And those of us who dedicated our time a day on Martin Luther King Day heard inspirational messages from our former colleague, Nerva LaFortune, and many others, including in the Ebenezer Church. But I also want to congratulate the Providence Human Relations Commission for bringing the community together at the Southside Cultural Center, and even honoring people and the Hall of Fame here that the mayor held, along with the Providence Human Relations Commission. And it was a beautiful ceremony. And I know that our colleague, Mary Kay Harris, said some beautiful words, but to inspire us to continue to remember that the fight that Martin Luther King and then all those who came and were in that fight, such as Cesar Chavez and others that have inspired generations to remember our neighbors and to fight for those who are less fortunate economically and also since birth. And so I want to congratulate the Providence Human Relations Commission, Ms. Wilson, and many others in their board for doing an exceptional job. Thank you.
Thank you, and I echo that. Madam Clerk, item 35.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of item 35 and pass on a voice vote.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Item 36.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of item 36 and pass on a unanimous rising vote.
Second, Madam President.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
being that there's no further business, I'll motion to adjourn. And tonight, we adjourn in the name of Angelina Petrocinelli, who recently passed away. We extend our condolences to the family.
Second, Madam President.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.